Pain, pleasure, elation, exhaustion. It's what it's all about here at the Absa Cape Epic. Hello, welcome to our coverage of Day 4, Stage 3 of the 2018 Absa Cape Epic, the 15th edition of the Untamed African Mountain Bike Race. Coming to you live today from RTS Drosti here in Worcester, which is in the Western Cape, southern tip of the African continent, and a beautifully cool day, which I think the riders will be relishing out there as they make their way from Robertson all the way to Worcester. 122 k's, the longest stage of the race, and sitting alongside me from the Absa Cape Epic, a man who's ridden every kilometre of this course, this year's route, Christo Toa on the Route Recce. Christo, today's ride 122 k's, 1,800 metres of climbing, but the conditions are in their favour.
Yeah, definitely. I think today's stage was set up to be a very long day out for most riders, but being a very cool and mild day, I think riders can be very fortunate with the conditions.
At the sharp end of the race, we saw trouble for Investec Songo Specialized yesterday. We saw how dangerous they can be because they closed that down quite quickly with Jaroslav Kulhavy and Howard Grotz, but it's Cannondale Factory Racing still holding on to that yellow jersey. Will today favour them?
I think so. I think it will favour Kulhavy and Grotz, and also the more marathon style races, long drags, and the climbing is not as steep as it was yesterday. Yesterday was much more punchy, and a lot of different climbs coming thick and fast, where today is more stretched out, longer climbs, long inclines where power and more in the saddle type of riding is what will get you over the line.
As Christoph Sowers has been known to say, it doesn't matter how long it is or how steep the climbs, it's what you're riding on. What about the surface today?
The surface is relatively good for most of the way. There's one or two climbs if they go past Nay up to, there's an incline there that goes next to the fence, is quite rough and rocky, and also there's a Lange technical terrain section, Choose Your Own Adventure, coming down from Penny Hill, which is quite rocky and rough for the riders to deal with. But other than that, the surface is quite good.
Right. So let's, before we see today's action, set it up for you by reflecting on Stage 2, yesterday's stage. 106 kilometres it was, an out and back loop from Arabella near Robertson. In its 15th year, the Absa Cape Epic is a mountain bike race like no other. Spanning the Western Cape of South Africa, the teams of two, both amateur and pro, take on 658 kilometres of spectacular yet grueling trails. This full-service 8-day stage race will test the riders' endurance, skill and tenacity before they cross the finish line at Val de Vie in Paarl. It's Stage 2 of the Absa Cape Epic, and the route is an unforgiving 110 kilometres with 2,000 metres of relentless climbing. There's no respite today for the 1,200 riders, with a 1-2-3 climb thrown in to split the pack. Team Cannondale Factory Racing, Emmanuel Fumik and Annika Avancini are wearing the yellow Zebra Leaders jersey. Just 40 seconds behind are Investec Songo Specialized, Jaroslav Kulhavy and Howard Grotz. The riders will loop out of the Arabella wine estate. It's just Stage 2 of 7, and it's all to play for. The overall race will not be won today, but it could be lost. Annika Langeveld and Kate Courtney are wearing the orange Zebra Leaders jerseys in the women's race. They have just over 2 minutes on the second place team Spur of Ariane Luti and Gita Michels. This is the most competitive Absa Cape Epic ever. All the men's top teams are keeping a close eye on each other and assessing their strengths and weaknesses. The pace is furious as they make their way through the farms and vineyards of the Robertson Valley. The slow professional teams are dropped, and the lead bunch, consisting of Trek Ellis and Marco 2, Cannondale Factory Racing, Canyon Topeak, Centurion Vada, Bulls, Investec Songo Specialized and Buff Scott MTB. Former Olympic and world champion Jaroslav Kulhavy has won the event twice and is joined this year for the first time by US champion Howard Grotz. They take the initiative and make a break on the 1-2-3 climb and put in over a minute onto the chase pack. It's a massive effort, but it's not rewarded as Grotz punctures and the time is quickly absorbed. The chasing pack flies past them and into the Bosvark technical terrain. The four leading teams approach the finish line at Arabella Wine Estate. They have a sprint on their hands. Centurion Vada out in front leading the charge, but it's Manuel Fumik who makes his move and takes the lead. Partner Enrique Avancini must join him because the finish time is taken for the second rider to cross the line. Alvin Lecatre is also in the mix, but partner Christian Heineck is at the back of the pack. Avancini finds the gap and the cross-country specialist sprints past Robach, Lecatre and Gesmeyer. They cross the line together, take a well-deserved win on a tough stage. Third goes to Canyon Topik, second Centurion Bada, and Cannondale Factory Racing take the win and maintain the yellow Zebra Leaders jerseys. In the women's race, Lange and Courtney from the Investec Songo Specialized team make a break midway through the race and manage to keep the gap all the way to the finish in Robertson. They extend their lead in the overall to 6.5 minutes. The battle of the day was for second place, with Team Spurs, Lucian Michiels eventually getting the better of Silverback KMC, Strauss and last in the final metres. Investec Songo Specialized will be wearing the orange Zebra Leaders jerseys once more on stage 3. So confirmation of that stage 2 result here. Second consecutive stage win for the Brazilian and German combination, Cannondale Factory Racing. Robbie and Gesmeyer won the prologue. They're second today, or on stage 2. Lakata and Heineck showing ominous form, the marathon world champion. And the Buffscott MTB maintaining the form they showed in that prologue when they were on the podium. Kolhavi and Grotz, well, they managed their deficit well. They lost almost 3.5 minutes at that puncture, but they made up nearly 2 of those to get to 142 adrift. Bell and Beers had a nightmare yesterday, the leaders in the African jersey, and they finished 4th in that competition, and they're out of the red jersey. Flangeni and Klo lead the Exaro Academy. Confirmation of Langeveld and Courtney's dominance yesterday, 4.5 minutes. Lucian Michiels was absolutely toasted, about 10 Ks out, but she dug so deep, the Belgian cross-country champion, to get up for the sprint to win that over Strauss and last of the Silverback KMC team. Spitz had cramps the day before. They had more trouble yesterday, lost 12.5 minutes. Spitz and De Groot third last year. They're battling away this year, Centers Health. And PRMA CST Racing in 5th place yesterday. Lil and McDougall are the leaders in the women's African Absa jersey, the first winners of that. So confirmation of the overall 223 Kolhavi and Grotz adrift today, going into the stage 3. Robach and Gesmeyer in 3rd place. Lurking just behind them are Lakata and Heineck, as I said, quietly keeping themselves in the business there. Buffscott likewise. Kulamanzi Project had a good day yesterday. Franz Klaas and Marcus Bauer. Frischner van Hayden, the only one of the Scots-Ram teams remaining, the young guns, after Nino Schurter withdrew after his partner Matthias Turneman took ill on stage 1. Ravenstein and Casagrande consistent from Trex, Celes and Marco, and the new leaders in the Absa Africa jersey, Harbier Kruger and Stuart Murray of Ellsworth ASG. Langeveld and Courtney, 6.5 minutes over Lucian Michiels. Strauss and last, 14 minutes over Spitz and De Groot. The battle there for the 3rd place on the podium. Buchacha and Sanders, the better of the 2 Dormakama teams at the moment. So that's how it looks after 3 days of racing. We're into the 4th day, and we've touched on the weather in this event, Christo. Yesterday it started cold in the morning. It was hot, but it certainly wasn't what we've experienced in the past at this time of year.
No, definitely not the typical Karoo scorching conditions that riders can be faced with in this area. And I think the field can be very fortunate with the weather we've been given. And
those riders like Gita Michiels, who's just come over, last-minute replacement into the field from Europe, very frozen winter in Europe, and came out here. I think she had a hard day there. She's never ridden beyond 60 Ks in a stage race before. She's ridden 2 big 100K days, another big day today, and those riders will be particularly pleased with the way the conditions are playing into their hands. Now, this morning, starting at Robertson, it is a 122-kilometer day, the biggest or the longest of the stage, not of the race, not necessarily the hardest of the whole race, but certainly a long distance. Let's get the thoughts of some of the prime contenders on the start line this morning in the men's race.
Hard to say. I mean, don't really know what to expect. I mean, it's the longest stage, so it should be in a way good for us. But we'll see. So far, the stages were quite hectic, quite flattish with no longer climb. So we will see how is it today. I mean, there seems to be one longer climb towards the end, so that might be climb that can make the decision before the finish. And
today, day 4, longest stage with 122 Ks. I think a lot of the top teams which are back in the GC, they're going to launch early doors some attacks, and we just try to control them and just hope that we bring it home and to the finish. That's it.
Maybe do the same thing, but just avoid the mechanicals today. It's really cool to see that Yaro and I are working well together. obviously, you know, he's pulling me all the way on the flats, but to be able to climb with him, that really gives us an advantage. So yeah, hopefully, you know, things work out.
We feel very good, but we had a little bit bad day yesterday because we had a little bit better flat tire and we lost plug then and broke valve and lost over 3 minutes, so it was not so easy for us. But I mean, today's longest stage and we can try something here.
So off they go there, a little bit misty and overcast. There was a slight hint of a little drizzle as they left Robertson, and may have had a bit of a damp first 45 minutes or so on the route, but really nothing to worry about. Big men's elite field, and hallmark of the Absa Cape Epics over the last few years is the absolute speed that they leave that start area, charging off the line and straight up the yellow jerseys on the front there with Robach and Gesma making sure they are in attendance straight away. So a real battle here. You heard there Jaroslav Kolhavi, maybe we'll try something today. Seldom these guys give anything away at the start there, but that is as good as you're going to get from these guys. Yes, we might try something today. Look at Van der Hayden and Frischneck, the Scottstram young guns, going up to the front. They're free to fly because Nino Schurter and Matthias Sternemann no longer in the race.
Yeah, I think a lot of these teams that haven't gotten something out of the race up until this point will be fancying their chances for the Dimension Data hotspot that comes just after 16 kilometers today. This stage, I think yesterday we clearly saw that Kulovi and Grotz were the strongest in the field, and they would feel it was a missed opportunity to gain some time over their rivals, and today a perfect stage for them to capitalize.
Nice open roads through those farmlands around Robertson to the Breeda River Valley, and it'll soon get tougher. This intense pace is Jordan Saru, his partner Victor Coretzi, the two Frenchmen making their debuts at the Absa Cape Epic. The very prominent colours of Paiga Eurosteel, two teams from South Africa in there, and Matthijs Bierkes and Julian Jessup deciding that they wanted to have a little look at the front there. That's young Julian Jessup. So nice to see these youngsters from South Africa, but it's very clear that the South African teams are battling in the company of the top international teams here. Admittedly, Paiga Eurosteel, South Africa's premier team, without their main string rider Philip Bates due to an illness. Took ill just before the race, sadly. So Philip not able to take part.
Yeah, I think that team will count on Matthijs' experience. He's won the Absa African jersey 3 times in the past, and I think he knows how to win it, and they will play it safe and see when the opportunity comes, and they will try and take it.
This trademark start, and you can see teams just making sure they don't get dropped early on here. Oh, here's trouble. Now this is the Grand Masters, Robert Sim and Udo Bultz. Udo Bultz, a veteran of many years on the road. Tour de France rider, of course, and you can see the slime seeping out of that tire puncture for them. Now they had a huge lead, 60-minute lead at the start of the day in the Grand Masters. So over Barty Bucher and Hans-Joch Gerber.
It's very interesting there. It was using an hand pump. I wonder if they must have put a tube in and just trying to inflate it a little bit before bombing it. Cannot confirm that, but there's a lot of slime out of that tire there.
Well, that's Barty, at least Udo Bultz, Barty Bucher behind them. They've won before. Barty Bucher, Andrew McLean and Joel Stransky were the men in 3rd place in the Grand Masters. Andrew, of course, a winner of the Grand Masters before as well. So that's the early images as they left Robertson from Arabella all the way to Worcester. 122 Ks, round about 4:15, 4:20. What do you reckon?
Yeah, for the predicted time have them finishing at 11:40 today, but with the conditions, I think we can expect a faster time than that.
All right, they've been averaging around 26 Ks an hour, these elite riders, incredible speed. So those are the elite men. Let's go to the elite women. Annika Langval and Kate Courtney are the leaders. In 6.5 minutes they had over Gitte Michiels and Ariane Luthi at today's start.
Yeah, it's the longest day, so really anything can happen, and I think that's what the Cape Epic is all about, just being prepared for the unexpected. But I think, we slept well, we worked hard yesterday, but we're able to recover and are hoping to have another strong ride.
I think once you're out there, you don't really think too much about it. It might just settle the dust a little bit, which isn't too bad, and maybe it won't get as hot today, so that's also, a little bit nicer. So.
Still feeling okay. Definitely a bit more tired every day, but Yeah, the plan is to save energy where we can, but it's going to be a hot spot in the beginning, so I guess some fireworks will be fired there. We're going to try and hang on there if something happens, or maybe even go for it, depending on how the legs feel. But yeah, and then it's just ticking over, and hopefully, yeah, try our luck again.
So that's the elite women's group there. National champions are plenty there. Annie Lars of Britain, South Africa's Mariska Strauss, of course. The Danish champion is Lange. The United States champion is Courtney, and the Belgian champion is, of course, Kitty Michiels, and the German champion is there as well, the legend Sabine Spitz. And Robin de Groot have had troubles in the race. I mean, Sabine had cramps a couple of days ago, something she hasn't had for a long, long time. So they've had a difficult time. Perhaps they'll get it right today. Conditions, as I said, favouring perhaps those riders who come from the northern climes. Today's route, let's take a look at what we are going to be looking at here. Arabella Wine Estate. Now they hug the Langeberg Mountains on the right-hand side of the R60 for much of the route here today, Christo.
Yeah, much of the route is along the mountain range. The first big challenge of the day is them into not a hotspot, at least them into the Peters Express, a single-track climb. It's quite rocky, and expect the field to be strong out there because it is a single-file climb. Then it's up and down rollers up until they get to the Pen Hill climb that comes quite late in the stage at around 78 kilometers, and downhill from Pen Hill up to Ney. Then there's that quite rocky technical incline next to the fence that takes them up to the dam, and from the dam, the Brandbach Dam, they drop down into the finish here at the RTS Drosta in Worcester. So a very fast finish from that 10 kilometers to mark that when they start to climb up to the dam.
So the first objective for the teams, both men and women, is that Dimension Data hotspot, 15 grand up for grabs there. Also a bit of bragging rights to see who's still got it in them midway through the race. This is day 4 of 8. 4 really big 100k days to start with here. So those who have maybe overextended on the first couple of days today will be a day they might feel it.
I think so. I think if you start today and you feel a little bit tired, the length of the stage might just be the deciding factor. And also a big consideration is that we only have a one-night stopover in Worcester, and tomorrow a very big day on the cards again. So some teams might feel and conserve a little bit today to make sure they are ready for tomorrow.
Start of the day today, Investec Songo Specialized had 2 minutes and 23 seconds behind Cannondale Factory Racing, Manuel Fumik and Enrique Avancini. It is Cole Harvey and Grotz. They were the animators yesterday, but they had that puncture, of course, that set them back, finished in 7th place. Let's take you to some early images from today's route. It is a beautiful route in the Western Cape here as we rejoin the riders through those farmlands. Already you can see this group is now going a little bit easier. They've shed those riders who were made up the sort of 45 team main group, and this is Sabine Spitz, the German champion and former world and Olympic champion, leading the proceedings there. Ariane Luthi on her wheel. Annika Langfeld's there as well, Kita Michiels. This is the women's group going along early today.
Yes, I think Sabine Spitz will welcome the cool conditions of today, and you can see they're looking confident right to the front of the field.
So up the early climbs, they all know that this event takes a heavy toll on those who expend a little bit too much energy early in the race, so they'll be mindful of that. Some will be feeling it. I know that the Dormakaba team of Amy McDougall and Candice Lill took a conscious decision. Amy had been suffering from illness, to go really easy yesterday, to go really easy today. Just manage their way through the day. Don't worry about where they would be finishing too much, and then try and set up the rest of the week. They're both pretty handy over the cross-country setup, so we've got a time trial on Friday and then 2 shorter stages on the next couple of days. South Africa's marathon champion, Robin de Groot there, just riding on the left of team Ascendus Health. She's Sabine Spitz's teammate. But Sabine, well, she is one of the truly great mountain bikers, and taking charge right at the front there.
Yeah, we can see them. This is the top half of the Peters Express climb, and it's very steep. You can see the field strung out on this climb.
And this is an illustration of what the weather was like up there. This is Dimension Data hotspot, so a little bit misty, but damp as they crested the Dimension Data hotspot, and then came flying off. What's the descent like off this?
It's fairly, this top half of it is quite rocky, but from there on it is through the vineyard, so not particularly technical.
Beautiful trails here for Jaroslav Kolhavi, Howard Grotz, and then Canyon Topik very much in it. So are Nicola Robach and Daniel Gesmeyer. Those three teams just starting to separate themselves a little bit there. Amazing trail that.
We can confirm that Albin Carter and Christian Heineck did take the dimension out of hotspot, and that was just after 16 kilometers.
So this is interesting. The yellow jerseys, one of the yellow jerseys there. Buff Scott has one rider there, and so do Centurion Vardova, two from Trek. So we'll have to cope with the Czech Express and the Dynamo from the United States, who climbed so brilliantly. Howard Grotz in his second event. Kolhavi, a two-time winner with Christoph Sauser, of course, has won everything else there is to win in mountain biking. Gold medal at the Olympics, cross-country and marathon titles as well.
And staying with them here today is the top peak team of Christian Heineck and Albin Lecata.
Yeah, Lecata, they've had a steady week actually. They've been, after really disappointing 2017 when they finished outside the top 10, they've come back this year fully prepared and up for this battle. Lecata, if anything, is looking in probably the best condition we've seen him in here for many, many years. He's really, really looking up for this battle.
Yeah, and you get the sense that as the days go by, they're riding themselves into the race and staying up with the leaders today, and is proof of that.
That's where they are. They started today, the Canyon Topik team, in fourth place, some 5 minutes and 48 seconds off the lead. So if they can hang on to the wheels of Investec Songo Specialized just by staying with him, they are going to improve their hopes of moving on to the podium ahead of Centurion Vardova, who were just less than a minute ahead of them on GC. So they are closing in on that, and on the road I would think pretty much virtual third place, and at some stage Investec Songo Specialized virtual leaders as well, because 2:23, not a huge gap. Grotz, Lecata, Heineck. Glance over his shoulder for the former Czech champion.
Yeah, just checking back to see if the guys are there. Pretty sure he won't be able to see them. And on the front again, you can see Kolhavi driving the pace.
Just you can see the world champion stripes on the armbands of Albert Lecata. There we go. He's the world marathon champion, a 3-time marathon champion, and he won it in Singen in Germany last year again. But as per UCI regulations, only the cross-country champions, either national or world, can wear their stripes at this event. So hence the little notification on the shoulders there of Heineck, of the Czech Republic champion, former, and Albert Lecata. But Lecata, really, I don't want to say this is his last big opportunity, but he really has given himself a huge chance here. He's finished everywhere from 2nd to 8th in this event, and he's giving himself every opportunity to go onto the top step of the podium.
Yeah, a lot of experience for Lecata. He's been in this position before, and I think he will definitely know how to manage any situation that comes his way. They will just need to watch the Songo Specialized team here to make sure that they need time over Songo Specialized. So in their way, they may be happy today just to stay with them and stay together, but if they want to win the race, at some point they would need to attack.
Well, Buff Scott really have been the revelation of this race throughout here. They've been amazing from the get-go. That prologue, Carretero and Pinto, the Spaniard and the Portuguese, and taking the initiative on that chase group as well. Buff Scott started today in 5th place, some 7 minutes and 18 seconds off the overall lead, and they were just behind Canyon Topik and just ahead of Kulumanzi Project, another team with really good legs this week, which is great to see. Flying down the descent, trouble here, Grotz and Kolhavi, another puncture.
Another puncture for the Songo Investec Specialized team, and now how much time will they lose on Canyon Topik?
Just looking at the Canyon Topik team there.
So they will definitely try and hammer it now to try and get an advantage over the Specialized boys. Although you can see it looks like Carter slightly struggling and yo-yoing off the back there.
There's Lecata. Well, it happened yesterday for Investec Songo Specialized. It happened for their women's team on the opening day. Back to the women's race, and Sabine Spitz dropping back to join Robin de Groot, team Ascend Herself. Looks like all the leaders are together there. The orange jerseys up front there. Gita Michiels is there, and so is Ariane Luti. So all the leading women's teams are compacted together here.
The only team seemingly missing from this group is Annie Lath and Mariska Strauss, the third team. in the overall GC.
Yeah, Silverback KMC have had a really good week so far, and they were looking so comfortable there. They came to the finish with Ariane and Gita Michiels as they come into the Energate rehydration zone here. And look at Sabine Spitz taking the bike of Robin de Groot and riding on with the bike there. So Robin will have to run it down. Back up and running and riding here are Cool Harvey and Grotz, something they've done already in this event, riding hard to close down that gap again.
Yeah, Cool Harvey and Grotz on the full power here, trying to close the gap on Canyon Top Peak. And there we can see them right in the front, and they actually miraculously have almost closed the gap in no time.
So, yeah, the amazing repair job done by this pair. They've had to do it time and time again. Of course, Cool Harvey taking the role as the senior statesman in this team.
Yeah, immediately Cool Harvey goes to the front and sets the pace, and Grotz just tucks in.
There we go. A little nudge from Cool Harvey, who has just immense power. There are few riders in this field who carry his power. Look at that. They're back up with Canyon Topi. Credit to Investec Songo Specialized, all back together again, and no doubt Canyon Topi are thinking, oh my, what are we going to do to try and get rid of them? On board now with Stefan Sam and the live UE bike on the Land Rover Technical Terrain.
I think this is the water point at Nay. It's also the second spectator point of the day, and that comes just after the Land Rover Technical Terrain section of the day, the Choose Your Own Adventure section.
Well, it looks as though Robin de Groot might just be having a problem there, and well, I can tell you, Gita Michiels is in a world of pain here. She has had a tough day yesterday. She said this morning she didn't sleep that well. Bub Scott just losing a wheel as they come around the bend with the yellow jerseys. That's Cannondale Factory Racing.
Cannondale Factory Racing, their jersey hopes are definitely in jeopardy today, and I think we might see a shift of the jersey.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting because Cannondale Factory Racing, yesterday they, to be fair, in that group of four, they didn't do too much work in that group coming to the finish, and then they took the win there quite neatly, second stage win.
Yeah, definitely. I think also they weren't in a position where they had to work because they were in the yellow jersey, and that gives you some sort of authority in the group, and the experience showing where they positioned themselves correctly to make sure they're the first two riders across the line.
So assessing the first section, we've seen the Investec Songo Specialized really are looking strong. Cannondale, at least Topi Canyon Topic are first real aggressive show from them for the weekend, and they're with them.
Yeah, we felt earlier in the week that Canyon and Topic were playing their cards very close to their chest, but today we can see they've definitely earmarked this stage and went hard to stay with Specialized.
So now we are live footage, and there is a gap here. This is first and second, and looking down at that, I think that's Grotz and Cool Harvey in second place.
The lighter jerseys here definitely is the white and black jerseys of Grotz and Cool Harvey, and Topic gaining a little bit of an advantage here.
Illustration of the Bronflay Dam here, looking very, very light indeed, isn't it? So that's the drought that's affected here. So Cool Harvey and Grotz are 20 seconds off the pace by Canyon Topic. Licata and Heineck up the road as they head towards the dam wall, and they're not far from the finish.
Not far from the finish at all here. We're looking at it inside of the last 10 kilometers.
So news from the route is that Grotz fell off in a fairly technical, tricky, sandy section, and Cool Harvey had to pull him back onto try and make up the ground. So they have lost a bit of ground here.
They seem to find themselves in the same position quite often, and you can see again Cool Harvey on the front and really driving the pace to try and close the gap to the leaders.
I suppose the question remains as the week progresses, how long will Howard Grotz be able to hang on to Yaroslav Cool Harvey, the Czech Express? That train doesn't stop for too many stations, and it doesn't carry too many passengers, so he's going to really have to dig so deep to stay with Cool Harvey, which he's doing now on the wall of the Brunflay Dam, the very, very low Brunflay Dam. That's the Western Cape in the grips of the worst drought in living memory in this part of the world.
Yeah, Grotz and Cool Harvey, they will also manage their effort so that on the climbs you'll see Grotz going to the front, and on the more flat sections that favor the more powerful style of riding of Cool Harvey, he will move into the front position and do the majority of the work.
Well, he is amazingly powerful. He's the Czech man, Jaroslav Kulhavý, which is amazing to see his power. And he just looks over his shoulder, see how Grots is going. In his second Absa Cape Epic last year, he rode in support of Kulhavý and Sousa with Pablo Montoya, his partner, who pulled out after day 5. Grots did start day 6 and just as well, because he was able to help out Sousa and Kulhavý halfway through that stage when they picked up a mechanical. Christo Tour has left us. Thanks very much, Christo, for the first while, and we've been joined by a legend, Robbie Mcewen. Robbie, 12-time stage winner, Tour de France, Giro d'Italia, numerous one-day races, Aussie champion, and a voice of cycling now. Robbie, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, and in a place where I'm maybe slightly out of my element at a mountain bike event, but it's something I love. I love to ride as well, although maybe not quite as fast and as painfully as these guys do it. But it takes me back to my roots. I grew up as a BMX rider, so getting off-road and dirt and jumps is what I lived for. So it's great to be part of this event. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, you've had a little while with the event. I mean, what have you made of it? You may well have heard of it before. What have you made of what you've experienced?
I've heard of it before. I've actually been asked to ride in the past, and I had a look at the profiles and some of the videos. I thought, I'll pass, but I'd like to see it one day. And now I'm here. I've got to say, I'm incredibly impressed by the scope of the event, the sheer size of it. I mean, 1,500 riders, but just the infrastructure and everything that goes into it, and now learning more from behind the scenes on this visit about the broadcast and how everything fits together to make it all work. It's a huge undertaking. I mean, a mountain bike stage race, a one-day race, hard enough, but 8 days out on the trails, it's just incredible.
There are numerous now, more and more of the your former colleagues on the road taking to the event. I mean, we've got Joaquim Rodriguez here. We've got obviously George Hincapie, Cadell last year winning the Masters. Has this given you a taste of it to come and ride it?
It's given me a taste, but I've been in regular contact. I go and visit George and Christian every day, and from what I'm seeing, it's not really encouraging me to want to pin on a race number. I've been out here on behalf of the organisation with some of the sponsors and their guests and the VIPs, and I've been doing some riding. We've been doing some riding on the course, parts of it, not getting in the way of the race. In fact, 2 days ago, we rode on yesterday's course. Yesterday we rode on the stage 1 course, so we got a good taste of it, and it's a lot of fun, but I'm happy just doing it at that speed. I mean, I did a lot of suffering in my career, so I'm not quite ready to take all that on again.
But it is interesting, as we watch now the yellow jerseys. This is Emmanuel Fumik and Enrique Avancini digging deep here in the yellow jersey. 2 minutes and 23 the deficit, and they're on that damn wall road now, and it looks like these guys are going to lose the yellow jerseys today, thanks to that power from Investec Songa Specialized. However, that gap, we're not entirely sure exactly what that gap is at this stage, but they're doing all they can to close it down.
Well, you see, these guys are in full time trial mode. The hands just narrow on the bars, trying to get that little bit aero, and that makes just a massive difference on the mountain bike. But it's funny, and I've felt it myself. You come off the trails and onto a sealed surface. It feels like you're a bit bogged because the mountain bike tyres tend to grab a lot onto the asphalt. It's really tough riding, but these guys will have to rely, I think, on a little bit of cat and mouse amongst the front two teams to see who's going to win the stage. But Kulhavý and Grots, they know they have to just drive it all the way to the line if they want to take the jersey. But at this stage into the race, do they want to take the jersey yet, or they want to leave that responsibility of chasing everybody else to somebody else and sort of back it off a bit?
Yeah, I mean, you're very familiar with those sort of tactics on the road, aren't you? I mean, on a long, big 3-week stage race, you don't want the jersey too early because it's a responsibility, and you're going to. So, yeah, that's an interesting tactic here. But this is Licata and Heineck, and they are heads down. Now, Alvin Licata, he wants this race, I think, this year like no one else. He really is desperate for it. Never won it. World champion in the marathon 3 times. It's sort of the one big thing missing from his palmares.
And I got that impression when I heard him speak at the press conference in Cape Town before the race started. You spoke before about Nino Schurter wearing the world champion jersey because he gets right of way as the XCO world champ. And Licata, he said, well, I think I should be wearing it because this is more of a marathon. So he sort of has a point to prove, and he was really fired up. And you can see that, and I think as the race goes on, it's right up his alley to just ride it like it's a marathon. Go for it every day, try and wear them down. He's got to make the race as hard as possible because then the advantage swings to him.
Yeah, this is the yellow jerseys then, Fumik and Avancini. on their own with, well, not entirely, are they? Because we've got a camera bike and the e-bikes on the road here.
And this is another one of the just fantastic initiatives taken by the organisation here to get these pictures out live from the race. I think people at home or watching streaming online, they take for granted being able to watch races, and particularly road races has always been pretty easy, but to get the pictures out from a mountain bike race is simply incredible, and you see how clear, how stable this is. So the fact that it's able to happen, thanks also to Dimension Data for making it happen, and all the hot spots they've created along the route. It's the technology is just amazing, and bringing the sport, this side of the sport, to a much wider audience. And this race is just going to gain in popularity because of that.
Right there, through the gate into the Brundtland Reserve. We're going to try and pop up to Neil Gardner, who's up in the helicopter there. Neil, can you hear us up there, Neil?
Well, the racing's really hit high pitch fever at the moment. We've seen in the very early sections of the race at 20 kilometers at Peters Express, the attack came from Jaroslav Kulharvi, and Howard Grotz followed, and they opened up a gap. They took with them Team Canyon, Topi. They're the only teams that could follow at that point, and the race just carried on from there, and the gap just stretched and stretched and stretched. Towards the end of the stage, we've seen Howard Grotz suffer a little bit. He got bogged down by a sand section back just before the dam section, and we saw Jaroslav Kulharvi pushing him, which is never a good sign. So obviously Howard Grotz is suffering from the early efforts of the stage, and that of course leaves Canyon Topi, world champion Alban Lakata, and his partner Christian Heineck look likely to take the stage. It's quality athletes. Been waiting for their turn, been waiting for a long time for a stage win, and it's finally coming.
Thanks very much to Neil Gardner up in the helicopter, tracking Alban Lakata and Christian Heineck. We reckon they're inside the last 4 kilometers here, maybe 3 to go on this tarmac road. They'll hook a left just before they get into Worcester and go on to the last bit of dirt road through a paddock, and then on to the school, which is on the outskirts of town on the southern part of Worcester, which you can just see the outskirts up there, the Langeberg Mountains in the distance. So Alban Lakata and Christian Heineck absolutely hammering this there. You heard that was Howard Grotz, who had a difficulty with the sand, and so that was where Kulharvi had to actually push him through there. And I suppose this is one of the things, Howard Grotz in his first race at the real sharp end of the race. Last year he was riding in support, so it wasn't quite as hectic. Now he's getting to grips with what it means to be at the deep end.
There's always a big difference riding for the win or riding for someone else and taking a back seat a little bit, and you get into the part of the race where it really comes down to the line. You're riding for the win, you're riding for those important seconds and minutes, and you're under pressure because you're put yourself under that so much physical pressure to get it done, and that's when mistakes happen. It doesn't matter what discipline it is. It's in any sport, in fact, those mistakes happen, and that's what you've really got to be aware of. I spoke earlier about the possibility of cat and mouse, but there's none of that. These guys are clearly in front. The others, Kulharvi, Grotz, trying to catch back up, but these guys look almost certainly on their way to the stage win. Look over the shoulder there just to check if you can see anybody in the distance.
Yeah, it's a long straight stretch there. They may be able to keep an eye on that, and you know as well as any that when you're on the bike and you're looking to see someone there, it almost feels as though he's 10 meters behind you, not a kilometer behind you, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you can see anybody at all, they're just too close. You'd like to get out of sight. But these guys, Lakata, he knows that this is not just the stage win, putting yourself right back in contention. Because it's funny for people who are familiar with road racing and particularly the road pros, they seem to think, 4 or 5 minutes, that's an enormous gap, you'll never make that up. It can happen in the space of a couple of kilometres in the Cape Epic, so that's what makes this so exciting for people who aren't mountain bike aficionados to watch it, because it chops and changes just so much.
All right, 6 minutes, just to put you in the picture, 6 minutes and 48 seconds was the gap from Canyon Topeak in 4th place to the 1st place, the Yellow Jersey Cannondale Factory Racing. And they were 4 minutes and 20 seconds behind 2nd place to Investec Songo Specialized at the start of the day. So in all likelihood, they're not going to put 4 minutes and 20 seconds into Investec Songo Specialized now, but they'll certainly put time into the yellow jerseys, and Investec Songo Specialized are looking perhaps to get into the yellow jerseys, depending on how far back Fumik and Avancini were, because they were 2:23 ahead of Coolharvey and Grotz. So there's the game being played here as they turned into this horse farm, and not far from the finish here.
Well, Gerald, it may be that nothing will really change as far as the placings in the top three, but it'll certainly tighten things up right at the top and set things for a really exciting stage, because a lot of riders are talking about tomorrow as a pivotal stage on this race. They say it is the hardest one. It's not the longest, but it's the one they're really worried about.
1K out, and they are now on the outskirts of Worcester here. Alban Lecata and Christian Heineck. Heineck, of course, a winner here with Robert Menon a few years back. And Lecata, well, he's had shots at this title at this event, some 9 attempts. He's finished every place from 2nd to 8th in his time here, and he's setting it up beautifully here. He's arrived at the Absa Cape Epic probably in his best condition of all time. We're led to believe the gap between these two riders and Investec Songo Specialized is a minute at this stage. So yeah, Robbie, I think you're right. What may well happen is that the order will stay the same, but it's going to be very, very tight at the gaps are going to be very, very tight. It's fascinating stuff, Robbie.
It is fascinating to watch it all play out, but now these guys are riding on their way to the win. And I'm going to try and get down there around the finish line and talk to a few of the guys and get their stories, get their excuses, hard luck stories as well, and of course get the big one from the winners.
Thanks very much, Robbie Mcewen, joining us here. We'll hear from Robbie through the week. A superstar, a legend in road racing, and it'll be great to have a quick word from another superstar and a legend as we watch the guys come into the finish here. Canyon Topi coming towards the finish. Christoph Saus has joined us alongside. He has been watching the race unfold here. Christoph, another slightly disappointing day for Investec Songo Specialized there?
Yeah, it's the jersey, and having the jersey is a huge bonus for all the other days. And as Robbie said, everything's gonna tightening up in the top 3, top 4. That's exciting. That dam wall we've seen just before, the dam wall was super rough. Unfortunately, we didn't have that on TV. Our boys actually wanted to attack there, but Howie obviously getting up to the dam wall was in troubles, and then the Canyon guys, they took it to their advantage, and you can see actually how much time you can make on a quite short stretch, just on the flat. I believe Jaroslav is leading Howie to the finish, where these two boys are similar strengths, and they can share the work.
They certainly can. This is Lecata and Heineck on his tail there for Canyon Topeak. They'll be loving this, Alban Lecata. It's a long while since he's got himself into contention to really contest an overall at the Absa Cape Epic. So he'll be delighted. They're into the finish here in Alban Lecata and Christian Heineck. They'll turn that last left. It's stage 3. It's 122 Ks, and stage winners Canyon Topeak into Worcester. They've taken the win ahead of Investec Songo Specialized. Very strong riding indeed from Canyon Topeak, Alban Lecata and his partner Christian Heineck. Delight for them. They put their hat in the ring here as serious contenders for the overall. Brilliant ride. Celebrations for Alban Lecata and his man Christian Heineck. Brilliant job by this pair. So
they'll certainly be interested now what time all the other teams coming in. It's a very cool feeling winning, but then you quickly check and ask people, hey, what's the difference?
And that's why we have Christoph Sauser sitting alongside me. He's got his clock running, and there they come. So it's going to be fascinating to see what that comes down to. Jaroslav Kulhavi, Howard Grotz into the school grounds now, nudging towards a minute. It'd probably be around about a minute. Grotz, he's taking a few shots here today.
Yeah, Howie, he doesn't look so good on these last kilometers. Recovery will be the key for him, and very important for tomorrow.
1:05, 1 minute and 5 seconds. There and thereabouts, Howard Grotz and Christoph Sauser down from Investec Songo Specialized, and that all unfolded really in the last 8 kilometers here, just before the Runflade Dam wall is where it started to go a little bit wrong for Grotz and Kulhavi. But that again, it's an illustration of how tough this event is. I mean, Howard Grotz has turned himself inside out for 3 days with Jaroslav Kulhavy, and one little mistake it can cost you. And look at him there, shattered.
Yeah, it's if you know the weight of Howie, he's a lightweight, and obviously for the climbing he's superb. But holding on to Yaro in the flat, it's hard with his physiques. But it's a good combo still. It's a very, very good combo. Have a few minutes now ahead of second place, and if they play it smart, they're in the top seat, in the hot seat for winning this race.
Well, not since 2010 has Albin Carter won a stage at the Absa Cape Epic amongst his 5. Here come the yellow jerseys. It's Manuel Fumig and Enrique Avancini, but still little time to just get a bit of air from these guys. They love riding their mountain bikes. They are serious cross-country racers, of course, but there's no question there are contenders in this race. 4 days in yellow yesterday. Will it go today? We'll wait and see. It may well, a minute and 5 back. We'll see if they lose that jersey to Investec Songo Specialized. It may well be that it'll be a few seconds in it by going into tomorrow.
Yeah, very exciting. That's what you want to see. As a racer, it's very hard. But you know, there's many days to come. You shouldn't count seconds here. You have to play day by day. That's very important that you don't get too focused on Sunday, on the last day already.
Of course, the journey to Val de Vie, and we're halfway there to Val de Vie, which is over the mountains and not too far away in Paarl. We'll go to Wellington before then, but Val de Vie is the ultimate goal for every single one of these riders. And who will be wearing those yellow jerseys when they get in there? It looks like we may have new leaders. So it's already 2 minutes between this and Investec Songo Specialized. So 2:23 was the gap at the start of the day. So I think we could have Kulhavy and Grotz in yellow tomorrow, but it'll only be seconds. And as Christoph Sauser said, don't worry about the seconds. But you know what? It must be nice riding in the yellow.
It is super cool feeling putting that jersey on. I don't agree with Robbie. In mountain biking, if you have the yellow, you don't want to play tactics not going into the yellow. It's it's just mentally, it's so important. And you know, if you can stay with number 2, it's as I mentioned yesterday, it's a winning day basically. By the way, I think it's the first time ever the pairing Hinak and Alban win the stage after Absa Cape
together. Yes. Yep. And that's a significant move for that pair. So it is going to do their confidence the world of good. The gap is now 3 minutes and they haven't entered the grounds yet, so they will be certainly not in yellow jerseys tomorrow, this pair, but it will be Investec Songo Specialized who will be in the yellow jerseys, but they won't be too concerned. Manuel Fumig and Enrique Avancini, who've got that 39-kilometer very, very tough time trial on Friday in Wellington, and then 2 relatively shorter days, 76k days, taking us to Val de Vie on Saturday and Sunday. Well, Saturday stage and Saturday around Wellington, Sunday into Val de Vie.
It seems like the 2 taking very long turns. At the beginning, when I've seen, was always Manu in front, and now all the time Avancini. In my eyes, would be better just to rotate a little bit more.
They'll close in on the school. They've had a tough day, this pair, in the yellow jerseys. Perhaps 3 of them tomorrow. They'll be a little more relaxed as they head through the gate and onto the grounds here at RTS Drosti. Enrique Avancini and Manuel Fumig of Cannondale Factory Racing. They will relinquish the yellow jerseys. They finished 3rd today, having won the last 2 stages. And they are now, we reckon the gap to Investec Songo Specialized 4 minutes, which makes it 5 minutes to Cannondale Toe Peak. Tell you what, the start of the day, start tomorrow is going to be incredible. That the gaps between these riders, absolutely amazing. Look at our fantastic race village here at the Absa Cape Epic.
It's a tough day for the Cannondales, for them to think about tomorrow, because they lost it today really on the bike physically. And it kicks in after all these days of racing, and if you use the yellow, mentally it's tough to start the day tomorrow.
You can be in the yellow and have it had a tough day and still be in yellow and think, well, we're going okay. Now they've had a tough day and they've lost the yellow. They've lost 4 minutes to their closest rivals. It's going to be very, very tough for them to deal with that. So we'll be hearing from our leading riders. There's Avancini and Manny Fumic. Let's hear from them.
Yeah, pretty rough. I mean, 122 Ks, longest stage of the Epic, and the guys specialized in top peak on the first climb into the herd box and then just made the move. And we just tried to control the damage. We're riding clever in the bunch in the back, and then at one point at Land Rover technical terrain, we made the move, and then we came together with the Scott Buff guys. Worked pretty well together. I think we didn't. We even closed the gaps to the front guys, and then they got a flat tire, and then from there on we cracked on, and it was more or less like a time trial to the finish. Tough day, but we made it, and we're quite happy about it. Still a few more long days to go to the finish, and so far everything is under control. We lost the yellow jersey, but it's not a problem, or we can get it back.
No, I like our green jersey.
So you think going into tomorrow's stage, a lot of riders are saying it's going to be the toughest one, at least on paper. Do you think it's maybe an advantage going in, not leading tomorrow, a little bit of pressure off?
I said it earlier, the yellow jersey always feels a bit heavy also because there's a lot of expectations and pressure. But tomorrow we go with our Cannondale jerseys and we go again for the hunt. Tomorrow is a good stage for us, a lot of single trails left and right, and we try to put them now into the herd box.
Okay, recover well and good luck for tomorrow.
We try hard.
Thanks a lot.
Robbie Mcewen there talking to Manny Fumic and Enrique Avancini. Yeah, I suppose it's easy to say now that they've lost the yellow jersey that it feels a bit heavy on them. They can free to ride in relative anonymity tomorrow without that yellow jersey. What will Yaro and Howard feel about taking the yellow?
No, they're more than happy. Yellow makes you lighter in my eyes completely. You have a cushion, and you live with that cushion. You show actually the best, at this stage. And if you get kicked out of the yellow, especially by 4 minutes, it means you didn't have a good day, and it's hard to turn that around again. Even you believe it's going to be a good day for you. Everybody rides a really high level in trails, on open roads, and I think if everything goes normal, it comes down to Canyon and Investec Songo Specialized.
Okay, so perhaps Cannondale Factory Racing will be going a little bit deeper now to keep in contention. They'll have to dig very, very deep. Whilst the marathon men, well, there was lots of talk about that for the last couple of weeks. First 4 days over 100 Ks a day does suit the marathon men, and perhaps we're seeing that now. And there are Christian
Alban, congratulations on the stage win. Alban, it's been a long time between drinks. A stage win in this race, 2010 was the last one.
We were just discussing it. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, but how crazy is that? Yeah, there was a really cool stage, a really marathon stage, and I actually was enjoying it the whole day. We first get the win on the hotspot today. I mentioned that, the hotspot, and then from then on we both felt really good. We kept on. Luckily we had Yaro on our side. He was like a locomotive. It was insane how he's putting the hammer down, and we made immediately I think in 10 Ks we made 1-2 minutes, and then it looked like we are like the whole day out there alone, just with them. But then they had a flat. I think they fixed it quite fast, and then they came back. We kind of waited for them because it was still 35 Ks to go, and then Aui was struggling a little bit in the end, so we could get the stage win. That's for now really a great thing, and now we're back in the game.
Back in the game, back near the top of the classification. But today's cooler conditions, do you think that really played in your favour?
Yeah, I think so. I think especially for Alban. Alban loves cooler conditions. For me, this kind of condition is okay. If it's then getting too much cold, I don't like it, but this was just great. It was also nice fresh breeze with the morning rain. And like Alban said, we were feeling really good. We jumped into the right train with Yaro, and then when we were racing it, and finally me and Alban together got a stage win.
Well, it's fantastic. Enjoy the podium celebrations and rest up for tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a long while. Christian Heineke winner here with Robbie Mcewen. So that's going to set up this race incredibly, because it looks now just unconfirmed, but the gap with the yellow jerseys, Investec Songo Specialized, 2 minutes and 12 seconds to Cannondale Factory Racing, and then to third place is Canyon Toe Peak. 3 minutes and 14 seconds is the gap. So it is going to be a fascinating race, beautifully set up. I don't think we've had one as close as this for a long, long time at this stage. We probably have. You can remember that, Christoph.
Yeah, I mean, last year with Scott, I think we were two teams. I mean, it's going to separate a bit more. I think you never know. Anything can happen in this race, and that's so exciting too. Looking forward to the next few days, and also to be on the sideline and come here and commentate. It's nice to see the action and basically giving my master to it.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you sitting alongside us. 39k time trial in a couple of days as well, which just mixes things up again after these four big marathon stages.
Yes, I hope our boys will start last. For me, it's always really nice to time the front, and you know exactly where you are. If
you want to be the last off there.
For me, completely, I always like to, and I'm sure the other two as well. You always know what's going on.
You know what to do. So that's then that's what's on the menu for tomorrow, is to ensure that you're in the yellow jersey for the last day. And with only 2 minutes and 12 seconds in, game on for these top teams. I think we've got another chat from one of those top three teams. Let's pop back to Robbie Mcewen.
The stage win all day. Just at the end, a little bit of bad luck. You were in the lead with the other team, but what went down?
Yeah, exactly. We had two flat tires. First one was quite good because we catch up with guys maybe for 5 minutes, but the second one was a little bit worse because how we had a slow flat tire, and we lost quite some time. But I mean, it was a great stage for us, and we did it. We have yellow now, and we are really happy because it was a big goal for us.
So the goal this morning was just to get rid of Fumic and Enrique and have a crack at the jersey.
Yeah. I mean, it was obviously a good stage to try to go for it because Yaro could pull on the flats, but I mean, I was still suffering like a dog out there. Yaro, helped me out so much there. So yeah, we're in yellow. Just gotta recover as hard as we can now.
And tomorrow's on paper a difficult stage. A lot of people are saying it's going to be the hardest of this Cape Epic. So a little bit of apprehension about wearing the jersey, having to control the race tomorrow, or not?
I mean, I think the more climbing there is, that kind of suits me better. The flats were really well today. But I mean, it's going to be cool to be in yellow no matter what.
Thanks, guys, and best of luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Very much, Robbie, chatting to Yaroslav and Howard, who I think is the first American we've had in the yellow jersey at the Absa Cape Epic. So just another look here at Alban Licata, just putting on the power there. And Howie and Christian towards the finish.
Yeah, both of them are super well-rounded riders. They can climb. They can put the hammer down in the flat. Their weakness, if there's a weakness, that's more the technical, the choosing lines, because they really come from marathon racing. But they're so familiar with the Cape Epic terrain, they're not gonna lose time to other riders, significant time to other like downhill specialists, basically cross-country racers.
Well, they had it in control there, winning the stage and not taking yellow yet, but it's the first time since 2010 that that man Alban Licata has won a stage, and first since 2015 for his partner Christian Heineke. And we're with Thomas Deitch and our leading women. That is Kate Courtney and Annika Langeville from Denmark in the orange leaders jerseys. It's going to be a good day for Investec Songo Specialized.
Yeah, just coming back, the first American in yellow. I guess it's also the first American woman in the, well, here's the orange jersey, but let's title it in the lead. And That's very unique. And here we go again. It's exactly like with Jaroslav and Howard. He's in the draft in the flat, and here it's the same. And it's also this very similar physiques, Kate and Howie, small and light. So disadvantage on the flat, but they're really up for it in the climbs.
Just before you go, we've got Jenny Stenhouse who's going to come in a little while to chat us through some of the women's racing. But Christoph, from the team perspective, to have obviously the two young Americans coming into the team, and I mean, how much of a role does the Epic play in how you approach the year from a team perspective? I mean, it's a very important event for the team.
It's super important. It's a Tour de France of mountain biking, and we would never ever skip this event. You have to be here. We get such good coverage out of it. It's also a consumer event, so there's so many Funfar riders can relate to this event, and they're really interested in what the pros riding, and they can pretty much transfer that to their own bike, where cross country becomes so much Formula One of racing.
Yeah.
And it's also an event, the teams, the riders, that don't have to promote their results. I mean, the media here is so big. They do it. They do it for you, and we would never ever skip and not bringing the best riders here.
An illustration there of how tough it is in the sandy section there for Kate.
Yeah, in the sand, very important. Put your weight to the back and try to power quite a big gear. Let your handlebar loose. Do it a bit auto steering. You have to be very supple, very smooth, and especially look ahead and not down on your wheel and try to steer too much. It has to go automatically, basically, that handlebar.
Christoph, thanks very much for joining us. I know you've been out riding with the trippers as well a bit today. Look forward to hearing from you for the rest of the week.
Yes, thank you very much. Looking forward to tomorrow.
He's going to have a debrief, I'm sure, from Kulharvi and Grotz, who will be in yellow tomorrow in the men's race after a terrific day today by them. They did have a couple of punctures, but that goes with the territory, and yet they are still just 2 minutes and 12 seconds off the lead. Not much has changed in terms of the distance between the leaders, just the names at the top of the leaderboard, with Cannondale Factory Racing dropping off the lead, and Investec Songo Specialized now putting two teams in the leaders' jerseys, with Annika Langeveld and Kate Courtney here powering towards the finish. They've still got a way to go, heading towards the dam section here. This is a really tough little section. Christo Tour was talking about it earlier, I think, along the fence line here, that just is sapping, and it's looking now they're coming towards the end of it there, but you saw Kate Courtney taking some strain through the sand. So we've heard from the men. Jenny Stenhouse, welcome, lovely to have you back.
Thank you so much.
I know it's not where you would like to be sitting in during Epic Week with your injury. It's where you find yourself. How's it been the last few days watching from afar?
It's been quite interesting to see it from this side.
Hang on, we're not hearing you at the moment, Jenny, so we'll come back to Jenny Stenhouse, who I'll tell you what happened. She pulled a hamstring at the Cape Town Cycle Tour, the mountain bike race a couple of weeks ago, and most of us may have pulled a hamstring, and you think it'll get off, you'll get over it in a few days. Unfortunately not for Jenny. It was a lot more serious and required surgery, so she's had to watch from the outside and had to withdraw from the race. Her partner was going to be Esther Sus, the defending champions from last year. Esther is now riding in the Lone Leopard jersey after her new partner, Angelika Tazrita, had to withdraw due to a shoulder injury, having had a crash on stage number 1. So Jenny's been watching from afar. She's had company. Her parents have come over from Sweden to be with you, to watch your race. Sadly not, but they can hear you on our live streaming.
Oh, can they hear me now?
I hope they can.
We'll try.
There we go. We've got you loud and clear.
Okay, great.
So it's been a tough week for you, no doubt, just watching. But what have you observed?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting to see it from the side. I mean, as you say, there's nothing I can do about my injury now. It happens. So, but yeah, interesting to follow the goals and seeing what's happening, and yeah, just a few different things. You've seen there's been a lot of sickness in the race, and just watching these two is also quite amazing. They are incredibly strong, and Yeah, but it's obviously it's been sad to watch, but at the same time also quite interesting.
Yeah, let's just quickly touch on that new combinations, because we've got a lot of them in the women's race. How many? They haven't ridden a big stage race like this together. Yes, they know each other, but when it gets down to it in the deep and dark caves of the pain that you're in a stage race here, how does that communication then bed down and find itself?
Yeah, that is obviously where you can find out when you are in the race. You can get along very well outside of the race, off the bike, but then it can actually be quite different when you are on the bike.
Pause there just to get the presentation ceremony, flower presentation of the men's race out on the stage. They seldom not happy, are Enrique and Manu. Lovely to see. Even though in third today, they've lost the yellow jerseys, but they just love riding their bikes and love riding together, clearly. There's a partnership that really get on well.
Yeah, definitely. They seem to know each other quite well.
Another new combination, Howard Grotz and Jaroslav Kulhavi. And we saw today Howard did start to take a bit of strain today, no question. It's uncharted territory for him. He did ride last year, but as I said earlier, not at the real sharp end. He was riding in support of Kulhavi and Sauza. Well, it's 8 years since Alban Lecata stood on the top step of the podium for a stage, and 4 years since Christian Heineck, and they're back together. They never won a stage together, but they are now on the top step of the podium, which will delight them and Canyon Topik and give them so much confidence in the week to come as we head to Val de Vie in Nepal and the finish. It is all to play for. Just 3 minutes and 14 seconds between those three teams on general classification. It's going to be a fascinating finish for this race. We're going to see the presentation of the yellow jersey shortly, and that'll be on the shoulders of Investec Songo Specialized, the men Jaroslav Kulhavi and Howard Grotz. Christoph Sauza said that the yellow jersey makes you lighter. Did the orange jersey make you feel ride lighter last year?
Yeah, I actually think I agree with Christoph on that one. It is a special feeling, and you do get a little bit of extra confidence when you wear that jersey. And I mean, you are in the lead, so you can afford some little small mistakes, and so yeah, it's definitely a good thing to wear that one.
Well, here they are, Kulhavi and Grotz. Howie Grotz can't keep the smile off his face. He's delighted. Second attempt at this race, the American champion, the Czech champion, and now the leaders of the Absa Cape Epic, Howard Grotz and Jaroslav Kulhavi, hold on the race leaders' yellow zebra stripe jerseys, going into tomorrow's stage 4. I just get the feeling, really, having seen these few days unfold, how beautifully set up and how nicely set up this race is. 4 big marathon stages, 1 short but really tough time trial, then the 3 slightly shorter stages. Really is a great mix of stages. And it'll fit Jaroslav well. Howard is the much slighter of the pair, but they won't mind. They are in yellow going into stage number 4. Investec Songo Specialized, having finished second today to Canyon Topik, but in the process finishing over 4 minutes ahead of Cannondale Factory Racing, who are now in the 3rd place overall. What a day. Well, 2nd place overall. Back with the women, and here Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot enjoying a much better day today. Gita Michiels and Arjen Luthi. This is 2nd and 3rd on the road.
Yeah, it's good to see that Sabina is feeling better today. I think maybe she had a stomach bug or something.
She had cramps on the first day, yeah. I know, which is unusual for her. And yesterday perhaps struggling a little bit. Nice to see them back up and going well today.
Yeah, definitely. And interesting to see here how Arjan's partner recovered from yesterday. Do we know anything about the time gap from the leaders here?
Not at this stage. We'll do our best to find the gap, but Kate Gordon, now they're in that sandy section that I think we may have seen Kate and Annika in a short while ago.
It's interesting to see how they're riding here. It's a special technique to ride in sand. It's not that easy. See there, Robin is dropping a little bit. It's very, very difficult. The Belgium seems to be liking the sand.
She does cyclocross.
Oh yeah, that's true. We can see that.
Yep, she powered through the sand there, and it's that funny combination of power, but you've got to take the weight off the front wheel and almost let the wheel do its own thing.
Exactly. You have to be very light on the bike to not dig the front wheel deep.
And these are all skills that many marathon mountain bikers are coming to grips with as they want to advance their careers. And I know you have put in incredible efforts and work in terms of technical skills and learning all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said at the prologue there, you can make up so much time if you have good skills. You can definitely lose, like if you're in a bunch and you can't really ride the technical stuff, you can lose that bunch and lose time on it. And if you have good skills, you can definitely make up a lot and get away on technical sections. And I think one of the days Annika and Kate got away on some technical sections, so it's very important to learn how to ride well technically.
There's Ariane just off her bike on that. She took a slightly. It must be a lot steeper than it looks there.
Yeah, definitely. It's always like that with TV.
Yep.
We can't
looks
see
very
really.
flat. So news from the course, thanks to Robbie Mcewen coming around here. Telling us 2 minutes 30 is the gap to Annika and Kate Courtney. So this lead to this second group of Team Ascendus Health, Robin de Groot and her partner Sabine Spitz, and Gita Michiels, who not only has she recovered, she's looking really strong now.
Yeah, she does. That's great to see. And I think Annika and Kate, they are just doing what they sort of need to do today, just to be up ahead and extend that lead a little bit. They don't really need to go too hard, and they can save a little bit for the rest of the stages.
So this is our second group on the road, and yesterday we saw Silverback KMC, who are the one absentee from this group. They're in third overall. They were 14 minutes ahead of Ascendus Health, who no doubt now trying to put as much time between themselves and Annie Last and Mariska Strauss to try and get back some of that time and move closer to third place. And Gita Michiels, make of the hydration pack.
Yeah, it's a bit different to see up and amongst the top riders to wear that, but it's obviously a good thing. I mean, personally, I struggle a lot to drink during a stage like this because it's difficult you're on your limit the whole time, and if it is technical and stuff, it's difficult to get your bottle and actually drink as much as you need to. So it's not a bad idea to have the Camelback on, but it's definitely a different sight to see on the top riders.
Well, there they go, Kate Courtney and Annika Langeveld. So I know it's not best to compare the men's to the women's race, but in terms of this combination and the Kulhavi-Grotz combination, as Christoph was alluding to, not dissimilar, the power and strength of Annika Langeveld and the much slighter frame of Kate Courtney. Kulhavi-Grotz, a similar combination. And Kate's riding her first Absa Cape Epic. Howard is riding his first as a serious contender, so it's very different. They're heading into areas they probably haven't been before in terms of physical and mental capabilities.
Definitely. The Epic is not finished until it really is finished. It's tough those last days when you are physically really tired, you're mentally really tired, and I think only experience can show you how hard it actually is. It's really difficult to explain to someone how hard this is. You have to sort of live through it.
And you have ridden many Absa Cape Epics in various categories and learned how to ride it, learned how your body responds, learned how to recover. How many years? I mean, you won it last year. Did you feel you were at your absolute best last year? Or were you better previous years and it just didn't go your way? There were mechanics?
No, I think last year was my absolutely best year, definitely. I think I was in quite good form the year before also when I had my heart problem and had to stop because of that. But definitely last year was the best. But you still don't really know how your body is going to respond day after day. And I mean, last year also I had bad days. Esther and I were quite lucky because we were on quite similar levels, but we did have on and off days. Like the one day I felt bad and she felt better, and then the next day I felt better and she was a little bit off, and we actually took turns. So it was every second day for both of us, so it worked extremely well, because then when the one feeling stronger could help the weaker one. So it was a perfect epic for us last year.
Well, so far Annika Langfeld hasn't looked as though she's had a bad kilometre, let alone bad day in this race.
Definitely not. Annika is so strong. She can almost take anyone to a win, I think. She is an extremely good team partner. She knows how to ride to help the other person, and she will always look after the other person and never ever ride away from her. And so she's a very good partner. So I do believe in this team.
Down in the Susie Tuck at the moment, a position pioneered by Christoph Sauer. I say pioneered publicly, and at this sort of level, it's probably been tried and done for many times. Is there a flick of an elbow there? I thought maybe Annika just flicked the elbow and said maybe come through. No, but she is such a strength on the front. Yeah, she's an immense power, and Kate is doing well just to hang there and make sure she's on Annika's wheel on this little section of tar, which will come to an end fairly shortly as they'll drop down off the road and back onto the trails and dirt on this stage 3 of the Absa Cape Epic, 122 kilometers from Robertson to Worcester. If you are just joining us, welcome to it. Our coverage live streaming to you from the Absa Cape Epic, the 15th edition of this event, as the journey began at Table Mountain on Sunday with a prologue of 20 kilometers. We've been out at Robertson, about 2 hours inland from Cape Town, just bordering on the semi-desert Karoo area, in amongst the mountains. But a couple of days there, and then a journey from Robertson to Worcester, back in the vague direction towards Cape Town in a sort of southwesterly direction. And then tomorrow it is over the mountain to Wellington, and then the time trial in Wellington, in and around the mountains of Wellington on Friday, and then Wellington again on Saturday, before riding through to Val de Vie and Paarl on Sunday for the end of this journey. It is a huge journey. You get to the middle of the day. This is the middle of the race, day 4. You must forget where you started the race. Cape Town, Table Mountain seems a long way away.
Yeah, it does. The days just goes together, and it seems like such a long time since you started it when you are here on day 4. And yeah, by the end of it, you have no clue where you've been. I know people ask you where you rode in that and that year, and everything is a blur. You just don't know where you've been.
Well, Annika has 2 bottles on her bike. I think Kate's got 1 there. Whoopsie! Down they go! Well, that is really unfortunate. And they hit the sand. There were 2 riders in front of them, and Annika Langfeld and Kate Courtney went down. Thankfully for both, it was a soft landing on the sand here, but that'll be a little shock to the system, and again an illustration of just anything can happen regardless of where you are on this route.
Yeah, you just never know. It just happens in a second, and it can be all over. So you have to have a little bit of luck on your side also to get through this.
It looked as though there were 2 stationary riders on the left just getting back onto the bikes. Might have stopped in the sand there, and very oddly, for some reason, Annika was on their line, and that's a very strange. Sorry, now here we go. She's got on her line, straight into them.
I think she had to brake a little bit because they were standing still, and then her front wheel started to go sideways, and that's when it happened.
And also in the sand there, if you are on a line, even if she'd seen the riders meters before, it's actually very difficult to change lines without coming to grief. But they seem to be no worse for wear after that fall in the sand, Annika and Kate. But again, just the freakness of these things that can happen so quickly, and your race can be turned on its head. Now a little bit of assessment. So what's going through their minds now?
Yeah, obviously now they're back on the bike, so they're fine and they feel that nothing happened and so. But last year we also had one of those things when it went through my mind that was the race, that was over, when Esther went into a bush upside down. So yeah, it can happen very quickly, and you just have to stay calm and not panic, and just get up and assess if anything happened to you on the bike, and just carry on if everything is fine, and just get going.
Short little section it was into the sand there, having been on the tar roads, and now they're back onto the tar, and it look as though they're heading towards the Brunfley Dam, and Worcester still a way away, probably around about 12 to 13 k's away from these leaders. It's a fairly fast run into the finish across the Brunfley Dam wall and then down onto the tar road and the finish here. They don't want anything else untoward to happen. There's the Brunfley Dam in the distance. A sad sight indeed it is at this time of the year here in this wretched drought that is affecting the Western Cape. Back with Thomas Dietsch riding the Eastream Bulls bike, courtesy of Live View, bringing you these images from the route. Incredible images right in the race. This is what it's like to race at the sharp end. Most mountain bike riders will not be able to get this close. It's just fantastic to be right on their wheels. Head down, Kate, here, just looking down. You ride with a power meter, and do you pay it much attention?
I do ride with a power meter, but I never look at it during a race. I just feel that I follow the race and do how I ride as I feel, but it's always interesting to look at it after the race and see what it was, sort of. But during the race, not so much. It can be good sometimes, especially in a time trial, just to not go too hard from the beginning and so. But I tend to not look at it much.
I want to stay clear of these guys. And Thomas quietly skims past them. Oh, look at that. Yeah, thanks, Thomas. He's pointed out that there's the rider with his handlebar broken, snapped handlebar. Incredible. It's hanging down, or is he holding it in his hand? It looks like he might have a brake lever there, but a broken handlebar. Is that Frishy?
It looks like him.
Thomas Frischnecht, the man who runs the Scott Odlo team. Fantastic. Frishy has had a crash. He's riding with Urs Gurik, and another legend, one of the world champions, many world champions riding this race, Thomas Frischnecht. Unfortunately for him, his team, his pro elite team, is in tatters. Nino Schurter is back in Switzerland. Matthias Sturnemann is recovering from an infection, and I'm afraid the young guns, Michiel van der Heyden and Thomas Frishy's son Andri, are out of the race with a slight injury. So that's very disappointing for them. That this man can ride a bike, a true legend of the sport, Thomas Frischnecht, one of the early pioneers of cross-country and marathon. Look at his handlebar, snapped it in half. Well, we've seen that before.
Yeah, we saw that with the Senders last year, but they could fix it at least. It's actually quite impressive to ride a bike like he is doing at the moment.
If anyone can, he can.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely amazing. That was well spotted by our man on the bike there. Yeah, it's just hanging loose. The cable's keeping it attached. Quite amazing. Thomas Dietsch picking out that as they cross now into the reserve area of the Brunfley Dam. Evidence of recent fires in the area, and a disused road. It used to be the main road, in fact, into Worcester, coming from Franschhoek Verliesdorp area. This used to be the main road along the banks of the dam. They've got to be careful here. Sandy area, and Frishy riding just behind Kate Courtney. So they're around 5 kilometers from home. Annika Langveld and Kate Courtney from the United States. Lovely to see such a talented youngster come and take on the Absa Cape Epic at an early age. I know Yolanda Neff and Maya Wozlowska were meant to come and race the event. Are we slowly getting there with more and more of these cross-country ladies coming across?
I think so. It looks like it, and it would be great if they do, because I think we need more ladies teams to race in the Epic. It is growing year by year, but I still think we can do with a few more. So I hope that the World Cup before the Epic will attract quite a few more of them to come and race next year.
Yeah, just Jolanda Neff, the world champion, did race the World Cup, but she raced that with a not yet fully healed collarbone break after a cyclocross accident. So she did stay on to the prologue in Cape Town, but decided that it wouldn't be best to take on the Absa Cape Epic with that in terms of setting up for the rest of the year. So it's unfortunate she wasn't able to. But the fact that she has the intention to ride it this year means that hopefully she'll be back next year.
And obviously we were supposed to have a few more teams also, if it wasn't for the pull-outs a few weeks before, including myself.
Yeah, I mean the amalgamation, yourself and of course Esther and Candice Lill was meant to ride with her partner Adelaide Morat. She had to pull out. Bianca Hall was meant to ride with Amy McDougall, and Bianca had to pull out, so those teams amalgamated, so we would have had more competitive teams. What a view.
We're hoping for more teams next year.
Absolutely. Grandvlei Dam in the, or just behind them, feeding the farmers in this area very, very slowly though, I'm afraid, due to the drought. And these men just sitting quietly behind Kate Courtney and Annika Langeveld, the powerhouse, the Danish rider who didn't take last year entirely off, but decided to complete her dentistry studies, which had been sort of sitting on the back burner for quite a while. Whilst she won a world title in 2016 and marathon world titles all over the place, and then she got those out the way, and then now focused, and well, she's got one job now, and that's to ride bikes. She's doing it pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was only from the Epic that she took some time off last year to do the studies. Obviously she did the whole cross-country season and did well, and she won the World Champs Marathon also. So yeah, she wasn't really off, but now this year she said that she focused on the Cape Epic, and the same with Kate. They have trained a lot to prepare for this race, and it has been a focus for them.
That's Thomas Frischnecht and Urs Gurich. Thomas, by the way, was the man who came second to Bart Brenchens in the 1996 Olympic Games. So we've got gold and silver from the Olympic Games. Actually, interestingly, there have been 15 men who've won medals at the Olympic Games since 1996, since mountain biking cross-country was brought into the Olympic Games, and 9 of those were in South Africa at some stage over the last month, so many of them riding this race. So it shows the attraction of this country. I know you've spent a lot of time in this country from Sweden. More time here than in Sweden?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last 13 years.
Wow. And your parents are out sadly to watch your race, but you're spending more time with them now.
Yeah, I think I also thought that when this happened that at least I can spend more time with my parents. If I had been racing, I would hardly have seen them.
Yeah.
They would have been around, but you're so busy when you do this race, so you don't really have time to spend time with someone else. You have to just look after yourself and get all the recovery and everything. So yeah, in a way, I guess it was a good thing, and I can spend time with them.
Yeah. Just in terms of her injury, I know we chatted on Sunday about it, but for those who are just joining us here, in terms of the recovery and the prognosis going forward, what's the thinking?
Well, it is looking good. I went to see the doctor yesterday, and he says it looks good, and I can at least start to take the brace off for a few minutes per day. At least that's something. But I still have to wear it for 6 weeks, another 4 weeks to go on crutches as well. And then after that, I can start with proper physio and get on an indoor bike. And after about 3 months, I can be outside cycling again. So it's a long time, and prediction about 6 months till I race again.
Wow, that's really, really tough. Again, for those who don't know, Jenny, and if you are of a slightly squeamish disposition, you tore the hamstring muscle off the bone.
Yeah, of the sit bone.
Wow.
Yeah.
So serious injury has been reattached, and recovery is on its way. So that's good news. 6 months. We look forward to seeing you back. And this is the race for second. Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot. Robin on the front there. And then Gita Michiels, the Belgian cross-country champion. And Ariane Lutiel. Quite different cadence there, looking at those riders.
Yeah, Ariane has a high cadence. She's always riding like that, and it's different styles. What works for you, sort of. I mean, a lot of people can say that you must have this or that, and but it really is what works for you. There might be an ideal way, but if it works for you to have a low cadence, then I think you should stick with that.
Yeah, I mean that's as I say, if it works, then it must be good for each particular rider. Yeah, little tweaks in terms of setup and how you might position yourself on the frame, and different styles and types of frames you might be using. But actually, the way you pedal is the way you pedal almost.
Yeah.
So the gap probably around 5 minutes between Annika, Kate, and this chase group of Team Ascendus Health and Team Spur. So news from the course about Team Silverback KMC is that Annie Last and Mariska Strauss not having the best of days. At Waterpoint 4, they were 6 minutes behind this group. So that puts them at, this is a complete thumbsuck, but probably more than 10-12 minutes behind the leaders at this stage, and probably leaking more time. It's been a tough day for Silverback KMC, who'd been looking so good through the race. But again, two riders who predominantly are cross-country racers, both rode very well into second place last year behind Jenny and Esther in the Absa Cape Epic, but had good World Cups at Stellenbosch, 11th for Annie and 25th for Mariska. But going into a fourth day of racing here might just have been a little too much for them today. They'll have to recover well for tomorrow.
I think they might have had a puncture or something in the beginning of the race, because they had quite a gap at the first checkpoint, and I think that might have been a puncture. And then when you fall behind like that, it is quite difficult to catch up on your own, knowing that the others are up ahead together, working together, and so it's going to be interesting to hear afterwards what has happened for them.
Stefan Sam now has dropped back to pick up our second and third group. So the tactic here, Ariane sitting behind Gita. Yesterday she was up front and Gita had to try and catch her.
Yeah, I think that was a bit difficult for Gita when the others were up front. So I think today Ariane is watching her a little bit more to sit behind and not let her drop, because I think that was mentally quite hard for her. So she's definitely doing the right thing here to just watch her partner and make sure that she stays with the others.
6.5 minutes was the gap to the second place Team Spur from the Investec Songo Specialized combination at the start of the day. So quite a big gap already, and now we reckon close to 5 minutes as they ride along the banks of the Brandvlei Dam. This group have yet to reach the actual wall, and Annika and her partner Kate have already gone there. There they are. They're crossing the Breda River now in the classic aero tuck. The Susie tuck is Annika Langveld. My word, she just has got such power.
Yeah, she's an amazing rider. She is just so strong.
And her shoulders, her head are dead still, just in perfect tuck mode. I mean, really is an example.
They look very different when they sit on the bike. We could see that already on the prologue when Kate was waggling her upper body quite a lot, and Annika just sits so still. But that's also something, it's just your style. It's nothing says that the one thing is the right and the other thing is the wrong thing to do. It's just your riding style.
Absolutely. Time trial mode for Investec Songo Specialized as they close in on the finish of the Absa Cape Epic in Worcester. And Annika just all the while just keeping an eye behind her.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant when I said she's a really good partner.
Yeah.
She constantly looked to see that Kate is on her wheel and that it's not too hard for her, so that she can get as much slip as she possibly can.
And that gap is just now she's getting out and having to to just change up and get a little closer again.
Yeah, exactly. Kate has to work quite hard to just sit on her wheel. That's how strong Annika is.
Yeah, she is a time trialist and has done well on the road in the time trial. Annika in the past, she was 5th at the Worlds about 3 years ago on the time trial bike. I feel should be a very handy asset in a road team.
Definitely. I remember that road time trial when she was up there, and no one really knew who she was.
Yeah.
Watching the roads worlds, and she just went in there and did so well with that. I think I actually heard something that it was like her 3rd time on that bike or something, and still gets such good position in a world champs. That's amazing.
And they've got a flotilla of pilot fish guiding them in, and they're pretty illustrious company of Thomas Fishnecht and Urs Gurig, the Scott team there, riding in the Grandmasters. But they're staying well clear of this pair, the leaders in the women's race, as they close in on that Horsted farm on the left, the airfield there. Just you can just see the hangars here in Worcester. Oh, just saw Annika pointing up the road there as we cut away, as we go back to the second group. Ariane and Gita and Robin and her partner. There we go, back with our leaders here. They're not far away. They'll be turning off, and it's a little bit further than they probably think. Well, they'll know how far it is, but it's not just a turn off and onto the dirt and into the finish. There's a little bit of a drag as they go through the farmlands towards the finish area there. Probably about a k and a half or so of sandy road on the outskirts of Worcester. So maybe a bit more than that, 2.5, 3 Ks. Now turn off just up ahead there.
In this situation, you just want to see the finish line. You are so close, and you're just so tired, and you just want to stop now.
And yes, they may have had some time checks, and they'll know that they've got it fairly comfortably in hand, but your mind plays funny games with you.
Yeah.
They must be just behind us. They can't be far away, so we better keep hammering it along. And so you do.
Especially in a section like that sand, when you feel like it's going so slowly, and you just think that everyone's going so much faster than you, but obviously everyone's going as slow because it's sand, but sometimes you don't understand that when you're so tired.
And they took that little tumble in the sand there, so to them that felt like 5 minutes. We knew it was about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're in through the Holstead, and just hope those men stay where they are. And I think Thomas Ditch is big enough to ensure that they all stay behind his broad elbows and shoulders. And, he'll guide them home.
I think those guys are quite happy to get a bit of a lift.
Absolutely. Again, your different styles again. Just looking, Annika bent very low over the handlebars, elbows bent. Kate sits a little bit straighter. She's the younger of two, of course. Kate, under 23 World Cup champion last year. She finished second in the World Champs after a nasty crash. Sina Fry winning that. Clearly a massive talent.
Yeah, definitely. She will be very good at this. She's got many years ahead.
Lots of talk about the Absa Cape Epic being, too tough for the younger riders and so on. But I mean, I think we're seeing now that young riders, no matter how young you are, if you're good enough, you can ride it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're all training a lot and long hours, and so they can definitely do it. I think it's more on the mental side that you must be able to cope with it, and that obviously doesn't really have to do with age, even though the older you get, the more you do this, the more experience you get. But if you have a good head, I was going to say, if you're mentally tough from when you are young, then you can definitely come and do this.
Well, Kate Courtney digging deep here with Thomas Dietsch now sitting right behind the leaders in the women's race. And a cloudy, relatively cool day it has been all the way from the start, with in fact a light drizzle at the start as we left Robertson. And there is our finish at HTS or HTS. It's a technical high school, Drosti, here in Worcester, Boland town, one of the biggest towns this side of the Troyes Club Pass. And these riders are closing in on the finish. Annika Lange of Denmark, a 3-time champion. She started 3, she's won 3 Absa Cape Epics, and she's riding with a novice in Kate Courtney from the United States, the American champion, and the world championship silver medalist in the under 23 category at Cairns last year. And she's just doing a superb job, both for Annika Lange in guiding young Kate, and Kate in hanging with the experience and learning as she goes along from Annika Lange. So there's the finish. The helicopter is overhead us here, and nothing like the helicopter and the look at the finish to get you out the saddle and powering away. As Annika Lange and Kate Courtney into the playing field. They know they've got this in hand. A fantastic job. Again, faultless riding from the Investec Songo Specialized. Smile from Langeveld, smile from Courtney, and victory number 4 at the Absa Cape Epic in 2018 for the Investec Songo Specialized team. American Kate Courtney and Danish champion and star Annika Lange. Congratulations. They've done another marvelous job.
Absolutely amazing what they've done. I'm very impressed by Kate.
Well, she's showing great depths of determination, of strength, and teamwork. Now, this is the second group on the road, and a much better day for Team Ascendus Health here. Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot, Ariane Luthi and Gita Michiels just behind them. They're in second overall, whilst Sabine and Robin will be looking to make up ground on the third on GC, Silverback KMC, Annie Last and Mariska Strauss, who had troubles earlier today. We believe they may well have had a puncture. They've had 3 good days so far. Today has gone against them. So Spitz and de Groot will be looking to make up as much time as possible on them. They were 14 minutes down at the start of the day. They won't make all of that up, I don't think, today. But it'll just make it a little bit more interesting. Now, let's see if we can hear from the stage winners down in the finish area. It's Annika Lange and Kate.
Annika and Kate, congratulations. You've smashed them. Last check, it was over 5 minutes, but it wasn't without incident out there today.
No, that was just a really tough day. As an ex-racer, me to this racing game, my 120 days was a lot for me, but luckily I learned what teamwork is, and Annika, while she is such a champion, is a player. And I made sure that I was within my limit, and when I went over my limit, I got to ride the Annika Express home. Really,
unfortunately, couldn't make out exactly. There's a lot of people around, a lot of signals all over the place. We'll try and get a better signal, clearer signal, to hear what the drama was for Kate Courtney and Annika Lange as our second group turns in to the stud, and Thomas takes, Stefan at least, takes a little detour. We'll be back with a motorbike now. So what's going to happen here, Jenny?
I think they are, Ariane and Gita is waiting for a sprint. They're probably going to try and take the second place on the stage. It doesn't look like they are going flat out as it looks now, and especially just before when the team Ascendus was sitting next to each other's, maybe it would have been better to sit behind each other's, like all 4 in a row, to save some energy and do a bit more of working together. So I think both teams are not going flat out. They are waiting a little bit for the sprint.
A waiting game. Gita, we saw yesterday, really get up off the canvas. She'd been not quite knocked out, but she'd taken account some 10 k's from the finish and dragged herself back onto the back wheel of her partner, and then put in a sprint to get the better of Strauss and Last to take second place. So they'll be looking for another second place here. And well, it'll be a confidence boosting ride for Sabine Spitz and Robin de Groot. Second or third for them, but I'd love to have second here. It's just tempo is just starting to go up. Gita's gone a little bit ahead here. She looks as though she might have some speed the cross-country rider?
Yeah, definitely. She might try and do the same as yesterday and go first in the sprint. It was quite impressive to see that sprint yesterday because she was a little bit behind and then she just went for it. I think she surprised everyone.
She collapsed in a heap at the finish there, given everything, and that's what you want to see. So Robin de Groot sitting here right behind, almost between the two, just trying to get a bit of a shield, whatever she can out of it. Sabine is up front there. Robin's in a difficult situation here. Will she know the finish that well?
Probably not,
yeah.
because I can't remember what it looked like. We came in here a few years ago, 2015. We
From
came
probably
in,
a different angle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you move from town to town, you don't know at all what the finish is going to look like. So it's very difficult to position yourself for a sprint.
Well, Ariane's going out to Sabine Spitz. It's about the second rider across the line here. And now Robin and Sabine, look how tight it is here. Once they get through that gate, it's all on, because there's only a couple of meters and then a left turn. Sabine and Robin sticking as close together as possible. Try not to let Gita Michiels through here. Ariane's looking over his shoulder, trying to find a space for Gita. Now Sabine goes on the outside. Robin gets blocked a little there by Ariane and has to dig out. Gita's got the line just to her right. Robin looks over his shoulder. Spitz goes. De Groot can't get past Ariane. That's clever work by Ariane. De Groot has to now come on the left. And Spitz is there. Now here goes Gita Michiels. They're leaving Spitz. Robin de Groot digs deep. They're into the school now. And it is very, very clever tactics there. Robin de Groot can't make it. It's going to be Ariane Luthi and Gita Michiels take the sprint for second again for the second day in a row. What a fascinating little tussle that went on there, closing into the school. De Groot and Spitz have team set themselves in third place. A lovely drama.
Yeah, definitely. I think still Robin and Sabine is going to be happy with the third place after the previous 2 days.
Absolutely. Had a really tough last couple of days, and 5 minutes behind 5.5 minutes behind the leaders. So more time gained by Investec Songo, specialised on Team Spur. It was 6.5, so it's now going to balloon out to about nearly 12 minutes, the lead. But yeah, I think Robin and Sabine will be quite pleased that they're back in the game, if not in the overall. At least they're pushing for a place on the podium now.
Yeah, definitely. So it's going to be quite interesting to see now how far behind Annie and Mariska is.
Yeah, that's the team that was in third at the start of the day. Annie last from Britain and South Africa's champion Mariska Strauss. Well, you can't fault them for giving absolutely everything here. There is Annika and another great ride by Investec Songo Specialised, but good to see the racing all the way to the line. There's Kate Courtney, the new young star, not only of the cross-country world on the women's front, but also of the Absa Cape Epic. So clear skies now overhead at Worcester, being left Robertson in the fairly cloudy, cool and almost damp conditions. It's now much, much clearer, almost hot, and recovery is key. Getting into the deep end, fourth day of the race now. Does your recovery strategy change from earlier in the week?
Not much. You try to get as much food as possible. You should have tried to do that already from day one. What can change is that you're starting to get really big cravings for special food.
Yeah.
Usually some unhealthy food, and yeah, you just want to eat as much as you can. It's not so important what you eat, just that you eat, and a lot. I know last year Esther and I, at this stage of the race, all we wanted was pizza.
Did you have?
Yes, definitely.
Well done. Yes, Gita Michiels with Robbie Mcewen. Let's see if we can hear.
That looked like a super tough day out. I mean, you're all smiles out there. Gita, I saw you hopping around, limping a little bit after the finish. Tell us what happened.
I didn't want to make a show like yesterday, so I thought I will try to stand a little, but I'm also so tired. But yesterday was closer to sprint, so that's why I was really... But today was really hard day again. I hope I can get a day off from my partner so I can relax a little. But yeah, it's just hard. I'm not used to it, like I said, but I'm really happy we could still finish second. I was really happy we could get back to Robin and Spitz. I was really happy I could rest a little, and I thanked them also for that. The competition is really tough. It's like when Lange and Kate try to attack, it's like hell breaks loose, and it's like, yeah, just keep going, and everyone just to finish this, they should be proud of themselves, because now I really feel it, and even for the fun guys, I think I can finish this. Yeah, good job, because it's really tough.
It is super tough. You see it on everyone's faces, maybe except yours. Except a little bit, you're all smiles, but a very solid second place, solidified the podium position at the moment. But what a finish, such a long, tough stage, having to sprint it out.
Yeah, no, it was really a spectacular stage again. There was a hot spot at 17Ks, and Annika and Kate just really went for it. It was absolutely hell going up there. She was so strong. I was just really hanging in the ropes there. It's just that cross-country intensity, I'm really struggling a little bit, but then over the long run I can recover again, and I think we showed a really solid performance, and yeah, with Robin and Sabine we could work a bit together, which was really nice, and at the end, yeah, we managed to take the sprint, but thanks to Team Ascenders as well, we were working well with them.
Oh, very good job, ladies, and go and recover well and get ready for a big one again tomorrow.
We will do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Gitte Michielsen, Ariane Luthi talking at the finish there to Robbie Mcewen, who may well have been able to converse with Gitte in her home language. He lived for many years in Belgium, Robbie, when he was winning sprints as a pastime on the road bike. Lovely to have him taking an interest in the Absa Cape Epic this year. Actually, it's been fascinating to see various riders from the road scene getting more and more keen to get involved in the Absa Cape Epic. We've got a lot of men roadies. You were a roadie for many years.
Yeah.
A few more coming across. We try and encourage some more of the top women to come and ride the mountain bike, do you think?
I think we should do that, but it's showing how big this race is.
Yeah.
Since so many roadies wants to come and do it, it's so it's not just for the mountain bikers. It's big. It's for everyone.
Rio Olympian, at least London Olympian, Robin, of course, on the road, and immediately retired. Took to the mountain bike and said, "Well, I rather like this," and did pretty well. Here's Sabine Spitz. Unfortunately, the signal inside the recovery zone there isn't great, so we won't be able to hear Robbie chatting to Sabine. But this is the finish of the women's race. No problem at all for Annika Langeville and Kate Courtney. They were celebrating well before they got to the line because they had it in hand. 5.5 minutes as they come in. But it was that sprint for second place that was so fascinating, and opportunity to perhaps have a look at that. So well ridden, Investec Songo Specialized, and here it is. This is that sprint, Jenny.
Yeah, they planned it very well, Ariane and Gitte. You could see from the beginning there when they were sitting behind and watching, and then they just went at the right moment. It was a very good one.
Yeah, for a moment you thought Sabine and Robin might have it, but there was some very clever positioning by Ariane to allow Gitte to get past on the right-hand side there and pop up and take the sprint win with Mariska Strauss and Annie Last losing to them yesterday, and now Robin and Sabine. So it's been a good couple of days for these two riders, for Gitte and Ariane. And Robin and Sabine back on the podium for the stage. I'll be pleased with that. And maybe they're finding their legs at the business end of the race. Still another big day to come tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow is actually the toughest one, I would say. I did a race there in January. They had a one-day race on the same route, and I can tell you it's very tough tomorrow. It was apparently a lot of epic entries being for sale the day after that race. So tomorrow is going to be tough.
All right, let's pop back to hear from Sabine Spitz, who's with Robbie Mcewen.
Sabine Spitz, third on the stage, and never mind the rest of the stage, which was oh so tough, but having to sprint it out for those final positions against the other team on the line must have just been the last final kick in the guts.
Yes, it's definitely, you had already with the 2 stages before, you put a lot of effort in, and you can already feel that your body gets exhausted, and so I guess everybody was pretty happy to get to the finish line. And if you have to sprint, then it's like you said, it's the last kick. You try to put everything in for the last 500 meters, and so it's. I thought about we can make a longer sprint, but it turned out that Gitta was stronger at the end than expected, because she was a bit struggling over the last 30-40 Ks, and so But anyway, so we are also happy that I performed today better than the 2 days before. And also thanks to Robs that she was pretty good and working today.
And Robin, early on in the race, things really lit up with that hot spot so early in the stage. It seemed just everything got blown completely apart. Was it a bit panic stations when that started to happen?
It did get a little bit messy. It was a bit drizzling, and traction was a bit difficult. It had been a little bit wet, so it was a little bit slippery. But Sabine and I stayed calm, and we just kept consistent, riding at our own pace, and we managed to catch them again. So sometimes it's not always good to have those power surges.
Was that very noticeable out on course with yourselves and looking at other teams, the changing conditions from hot, dry and really dusty to that more compact and a bit drizzle, like you said, different conditions?
Yeah, it definitely played a role. We had some very steep climbs at the start of the stage, and that was when it was drizzling and raining. So traction was something that we had to struggle with a little bit. But it was actually quite nice to have a cooler day today after the heat that we've had.
And we saw today our overall leaders and stage winners also had a bit of an accident in the end. They fell in the sand section. Did you remain unscathed today? Did everything go smoothly? No punctures, no crashes?
Yeah, fortunately we were all good. Other than a bit of wire in the jockey, it was nothing major.
Now, it was getting pretty crowded out there on course. Did you notice any hiccups trying to get past people in certain sections?
No, we didn't really struggle, I must say, now that they've made it clear at race briefings that the women's and the men's races are totally separate, and that we must get a bit of track. Thanks to all the guys that do move over. I know sometimes we're racing and we get a little bit rude, we're shouting, everybody's on their limits, really pushing hard. So I think sometimes they think we're being rude, but just thanks to everyone for just moving over for us.
Okay, best of luck for tomorrow.
Cool, thanks more.
Thanks so much to Robin and to Robbie. You're never rude out there, Jenny. Your former partner, come on.
Sometimes.
In the heat of battle.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you can probably say things that you regret, but you try as good as you can to always be friendly.
Well, we did see an incident today with the leaders running into the back of guys who'd stopped on that sandy section. Now, just to tell you what the situation is regarding the general classification in the women's race, it looks like this, that Annika Lange and Kate Courtney have a lead of 12 minutes and 10 seconds over Ariane Luthier and Gitta Michiels of Team Spur. And then in third place now, Strauss and last, Silverback KMC are 24 minutes down. So they're 12 minutes behind Luthier and Michiels. But the big gainers today are Team Ascendus Health. Robin de Groot and Sabine Spitz are now 31 minutes down on the leaders, but they've made up almost 8 minutes on Strauss and last, because they are 6 minutes behind Strauss and last. So that little battle for third place is going to get very, very interesting as this race goes on. It's what it's all about. I mean, every day they're nip and tuck, and every team at some stage is going to have a difficulty, as you illustrated earlier on chatting about last year when you thought your whole race was over, and the next thing you're on the top step of the podium at Val de Vie. So your mind goes through a huge amount of emotions, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, mountain biking, anything can happen, and you can think you have a big lead, but it can be over in a second. And I actually think last year I've never ever been so nervous for a stage or a race as the last day when we had a lead of 35 minutes and everyone started to say that it was in the bag and it was done, and it was still a 4-hour race to get through, and yeah, anything can happen. So as I said before, this race is only over when it really is over that last finish line.
Isn't it a beautiful thing?
Yeah, it is. That's the beauty of this race.
And it keeps you coming back, doesn't it?
It does.
As painful as it is and as tough as it might be, you sort of think, well, I've just, those pains and things go away, and you remember the good things, and back you come.
Yeah, exactly. I think every year you think to yourself that this is the last one because it's so hard. But then, yeah, a week later you're starting to think about the next year and that you want to come back and do things differently or improve on things.
Before Jenny goes, I just want to tell you that you were voted Sweden Cyclist of the Year, I believe, quite recently.
Yes, yeah, I was.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank
on
you.
that.
Thank you.
You go back to Sweden and you race there, don't you, in our winter?
Yeah, definitely. Every year. So I've got 2 seasons, almost race all year round.
Wow. And you'll carry on once your injury's repaired?
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Well, we hope to see you again with us shortly. Thanks very much for making the effort to come across. I know it's not easy. There's Mariska Strauss there just recovering. Not easy for Jenny. She's not totally mobile with her left leg injury, but fantastic to have you come through, and thanks to your parents for bringing you through.
Thank you so much, and thanks to them for driving.
Yeah. So this is inside the Woolworths recovery zone, and this is a look at stage 4. Before you go, just have a look at this. You know, you talked about it earlier, about the route tomorrow. There's nowhere to hide here, is there?
No, the thing with the tomorrow's stage is that it's so much sand, and if it's not sand, then it's rocks. So it's basically that you don't really gain anything from sitting behind anyone, because it's so hard. It's really hard on your legs. So, and then when you gotten through all that sandy and rocky part, then you have bench clues to go up. So tomorrow is going to be really tough.
It's very cruel because the red sections are tar, as you can see there, and then sand and rocks, green and blue, the climbs, it's unforgiving. And then yes, you get to the tar and you think, oh, tar, but it's a monster pass. So there's nowhere to hide tomorrow. It's going to be one of those really, really tough days here at the Absa Cape Epic. But then again, what day is not tough at the Absa Cape Epic? There has never been an easy day at the Absa Cape Epic in 15 years, and there never will be, I'm sure. They just each very, very tough. There's Thomas Dietsch, who's done a great job in showing us how the riders have progressed through today's stage. So lunch for the riders as they come in. Fantastic. Woolworths, one of our great sponsors here, giving the riders some food to recover. That's where the recovery is so important. You're not just recovering, you're preparing for tomorrow, eating for tomorrow. That's so important. And no doubt for many it will be pizza.
Yeah, I hope so.
At some stage, not in there.
Not in there, but outside this tent.
Yeah, this is a great service offered by the Absa Cape Epic. When they say full service stage race, this is what they mean. You get lunch brought to you. You don't even have to go and find it. As you come off the bike, you walk to their pickup packet there, and it's got all sorts of very healthy stuff with you. That was Jeremy Thompson and Martin Dreyer. They were in 4th place in the Grandmasters earlier today. Apart from the fact that Martin Dreyer is still coming to terms with the fact that he's a Grandmaster, that's a great ride by Jeremy and Martin. They were 3rd in the prologue. Jeremy Thompson was a world-class rugby centre for the Sharks franchise here in South Africa. Martin Dreyer won the toughest canoe race in the country, and probably one of the toughest in the world, the Doozy Canoe Marathon, 7 times, and he's of course an adventure racer of note, and they're going really well in the Grand Masters, which might see a shake-up today because Rob Sim and Udo Bultz had all manner of problems early in the stage, seemed to lose a lot of time, but they had a lot in hand at the start of the day. They had almost 16 minutes in hand. It's almost a desert landscape here, isn't it? It's so dry. It is a pretty dry part of the world, this nevertheless, but that's courtesy of this drought. Here we go, the podium. Nice moment for the riders, this Jenny.
It's a very nice feeling to get onto that podium. It's a very special podium.
In third position at the end of the stage today, Team Ascenders Health, Robbie Mcewen and Robin the Threat.
So 3rd place Team Ascenders Health, with some relief, I'm sure. They are back into the mix here. As Jenny's alluded to, the doubts that do creep in when things go wrong and you think maybe are over, but they fought back and fought hard. Lost out on the sprint, but it was that close. It came down to a sprint on the stage. Sabine Spitz and Robin Gutbrand. Second again, 2 days in a row, and 3 days in a row actually. Gita Michiels and Ariane Lutiev, Team Spur. Big effort from Gita after yesterday. She said she didn't want to be dramatic like yesterday and fall over when she got to the finish line. But she suffered, as they all did. There they are. 4 in a row for Investec Songo Specialized. Kate Courtney, Annika Langwell, the champions today. And at the moment, champions elect only because they're wearing the leaders' jerseys. So that gap to second place, Lutien Michiels, is 12 minutes and 10 seconds to Strauss and Last, who finished down the field today. They're 24 minutes back, and Spitz and De Groot 31 minutes back. So that battle for third place is going to be interesting. 6 minutes at the moment between those teams. The flowers getting tossed to the crowd in time-honored fashion. Lovely to see. And might well have been Bob Behan who caught the flowers there.
Oh. And there are my parents, by the way.
There they are.
Yep.
There's,
my mom.
There's Jenny's parents. You got family at home who would have seen them?
Maybe. Even though my brother is also there, he was standing with them.
Oh,
so
lovely.
Otherwise, he's the biggest fan. So.
Fantastic.
They won every stage. Starting with the win of the prologue. Ladies and gentlemen, Investec Songo Specialized. Annika Langwell and Kate Courtney.
Here they are. Annika Langwell on the right. Kate Courtney, the American champion. Another imposing performance today on the road from Robertson to Worcester. 123 kilometers it turned out to be. And the result, as it was yesterday, just an increase in their lead overall in the women's race for Annika and Kate as they take stranglehold on the Absa Cape Epic. Well, 12 minutes, we've seen bigger leads be eroded by the vagaries of what is the most unpredictable mountain bike stage race, the Untamed African mountain bike race here in the Western Cape. There we are. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our coverage. Thanks again to Jenny. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much for having me.
We look forward to seeing you here again. And most importantly, we look forward to see Jenny back on the bike, defending Absa Cape Epic champion. It won't happen this year, but I'm sure it will happen soon.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you.
Jenny Stenach here, who raced to victory here with Ariane, with Estesus last year. And the men's race, just before we say goodbye, Kulhavi and Grotz have 2 minutes and 12 seconds over Fumic and Avancini of Cannondale Factory Racing. Lakata and Heineck 3 minutes and 14 back. Just 3 minutes and 14 seconds between the top three. Robach and Gesma off the podium at 10 minutes and 37. It's going to be a great day's racing tomorrow. You know where to find us, right where you are now. Tomorrow morning from 10 o'clock we'll bring you all the action on stage 4, day 5 of the Absa Cape Epic 2018. Until then, enjoy the images from today.